Amen. Thank you, praise team and choir and church. I wanted to be brief in my time this morning, if I can, just by way of introduction. Heard Ben's going to come and address us in just a moment, and I wanted to give just a little bit of context to that. He'd asked me recently about just addressing the church, sort of with, I think, in gratitude of some of the love that they've been shown from the Lord's people during this time of suffering that they've gone through, and that's kind of turned into, we'd also like to hear how the Lord has carried you through this time. And so I thought it fit well here with where we were in our study on Jonah. If you remember last week, you heard of Jonah's prayer when he cried out to the Lord in his distress, and the Lord answered him. And I think it's easier to find a category for affliction and suffering for the case of a backslider. I'm living in sin, and the Lord has yanked my chain to get me back in order, and we can say, okay, good. But what when suffering is not in any kind of a result of sin? What if it's John 9? You know, when Jesus heals the blind man, and he's asked, whose sin was it that caused this man to be born blind? He says it wasn't from his sin or his parents' sin. It was so that God in heaven could be glorified. I remember when we were at the lake, there was a friend of ours whose mother got diagnosed with cancer, and the response she gave, it still just blew me away when I was asking her, hey, how's your mother? How's it going? And she said, well, she just can't believe that the Lord would entrust her with that level of stewardship of suffering.